Welcome back to How To with Natelle Williams. In this video we are going to be looking at closing a hole or a rip in fabric where you've got two sides and you don't want to overlap them, you just want to close that space. Now we're going to be sewing this up by hand, so of course we need our needle and thread. Now for this I've chosen a thicker thread than usual, and this is actually an embroidery thread, and you can use any thread that you want, but if it's a thicker thread it will be a little bit stronger and it will actually be quicker to do because you're covering more space with each stitch. So tie your knots in the bottom of the thread, and we are going to start at the bottom of the rip or the hole, just outside of the opening, to make sure that we are really covering that space well and making sure that we don't miss anything out. Now what we want to do is create a foundation for our parachute stitch, and what I'm going to do is start from the right, as I'm right-handed, and create a stitch by placing the needle in the middle of the rip or the hole, and then come back through from the back, pull the needle right through to the front, and then connect it in the middle of the rip or the hole again. So I'm now connecting the two stitches so I have a nice foundation on the solid bit of fabric that I have, and I can then start to join the two pieces of fabric together with the parachute stitch. To join the fabric with the parachute stitch, we are going to insert the needle under the fabric through the join and come out through the bottom, as you can see here. Pull the thread all the way through and give it a little tug, and then we're going to send it over the join to the other side and then under, as you can see me doing in this clip. So make sure it's nice and aligned and the stitches are close together to make sure that there are no big gaps and we're getting a nice solid stitch running all the way through. And it's just a repetition of that weaving in and out motion that's going to close the gap and make sure it's a nice, strong, solid connection to really close up that hole. So again, we're going to go under, through the rip or the tear, and pull the thread all the way through and just weaving in from side to side, keeping those stitches nice and tight and close to make sure that it's nice and strong and you're not going to have a repeat rip in that same spot. Now the parachute stitch is really good because if you're using a contrasting fabric you can make it look funky, or you can use something that matches. You can use a matching thread, of course, if you want to make that as close as possible. The only thing with the parachute stitch, it is quite visible. It's not like the slip stitch, for instance, that we were working on a few videos ago. That is, invisible. This is a much more visible stitch, but if that's the look that you're going for and you want to close a stitch as opposed to overlap, because what is really great about this stitch is that you're joining the fabric without losing any fabric, so this shouldn't alter the shape of your garment. You're simply pulling the two pieces of fabric together in a really strong way that's going to last. Now as we get to the end of the rip or the hole, what we're going to do is similar to the start. We're going to keep going until we reach the piece of fabric that is completely fine. We are going to pass the rip and we're going to keep doing the parachute stitch until we get to a piece of fabric that is completely solid, to make sure that there is no chance of us missing any sections and that thread, not doing what it needs to do and that hole opening up again at a later date. And then we are going to close it in the same way that we started it. So we're going to do two stitches, one to the left and one to the right, and join them in the middle. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm creating a stitch that goes from the left to the middle, and then I'm going to come back out on the right hand side and bring it through to the front and join it in the middle to that first stitch that I created on the left. And then what we're going to do is seal that stitch with a knot. So you can see we have our parachute stitch here, looking good at the front. Now what we need to do is create a loop in the back and pull the needle straight through that loop to create a knot in the thread, and that's going to make it nice and secure. Like always, we're going to do this twice just to give us some peace of mind that that knot is not going anywhere and that stitch is nice and secure. So after you've done that a second time, what we can do is clip that thread off after we've checked that we're happy, no changes need to be made, we don't need to restitch anything, and we have it there, a completed parachute stitch, just getting rid of those threads. And now we can go ahead and fix any holes, any rips, any tears, or simply make amends to our clothes with the parachute stitch. If you found this video useful, please like and comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.